Making money isn't always necessarily about getting a better job or working your way up the corporate ladder. It's actually highly involved with just reprogramming your mind just a little bit to see the world through a different paradigm than you typically look at it. One of the things that I noticed that like billionaires look at differently is they actually look at money made within a year opposed to, the typical standard way of looking at money in like a bi-weekly, like this is how much I make every, 2 weeks. Not only that, they'll look at like quarterly, how much money is being made quarterly, how much money is being made in a decade. And they start looking at this like much bigger like time frame spectrum. Now, that's not something specifically that I've done, but what it goes to show is people making money have just a completely different lens that they look through when in relation to money being made. Like they just look at it completely different. And it takes like a level of like delusion where you kind of forget about the idea of working in a traditional like fashion. And we're going to kind of talk about some of the things that you can do to help gradually alter your mind into a mind that just simply just makes more money. But one of the biggest things that I've noticed is over the last few years, I have started, because I've been an entrepreneur and making money online for the last like 5 or 6 years of my life now. And one of the things that I noticed as of recently is I no longer need any form of like reassurance that everything is going to be okay. I don't need any reassurance that the things that I'm working towards are actually going to happen. And I asked myself, like, what was that change? Like, what was that shift? And it's because I've stopped thinking in terms of tasks and I started thinking in terms of systems, okay? And now I understand that you maybe even heard this before, but when it comes to like thinking about systems, you understand that if I can physically go out and make $1,000, then that means I can then go and do that same thing again and make another $1,000 or another $1,000. And instead of me individualizing those tasks, for an example, what I do is I actually build a system that is automated, that gets that same task done without my input. Then I can make the same amount of money without my efforts. Okay, so let me give you an example. And the first one I want to talk about is like specifically thinking in systems opposed to tasks. And the difference is when you think in terms of tasks, this is how much money I'm going to make per task. Okay. Now, if I think in terms of systems, then I'm thinking this is how much money I'm going to make for as long as this system runs. And now if you build systems that don't stop running, then you're looking at like 1 to 2 to 5, 10-year gateways of money being made. So let me give you an example of thinking in terms of systems instead of tasks. So we have this AI YouTube like mass production thing, and through one YouTube video, that's like kind of a targeted YouTube video, we can make $1,000 from it, okay? Or $500 from it. And this is just selling an education program. Now, I can individually sit there and make one video every single week. Now, this works. But what if I was able to use, like in today's day and age, AI to mass produce content? AI to create scripts for me, AI to create the voiceover lay for me, and AI to create the actual visuals. Then theoretically, I could produce more content. And so we gave this a try, and we were able to yield about one paid member every like 3 to 4 days, which is with one video every single day being posted, like all ran through AI. So what would have taken me like 7 videos to make every single day, I don't need to think about anymore. Those videos are just automatically being made. So my system, instead of me looking at like a task basis, because like theoretically I can only do so many tasks in a day. If I am making $1,000 from making 7 videos a week, and then I'm making another $1,000 from making 7 YouTube shorts a week, and then another 7 videos from dealing with like client relations. It gets to the point where, let's say I top out at like $10,000 a month. I literally don't have my time anymore. I literally cannot make more money because I'm so focused on like the $1,000 individual tasks that I'm getting, opposed to setting up a system that consistently runs for me and is constantly generating me revenue. YouTube is a system, okay? If I produce content for YouTube is forever going to continuously grow for me. I'm always going to get more views. I'm always going to get more subscribers. And everything that I put on YouTube is going to consistently grow without me, without my effort. Let's say I'm doing like construction, for an example. In order for the house to be built, I literally need to be there, okay? If I'm like the head contractor there and I need to, or whatever, and I'm doing the building, I have to be there in order for that thing to be done. Creating YouTube content, on the other hand, I don't need to be there, right? Whether I'm doing it through AI or I'm making this video that I'm making right now, this is a one-time thing that I'm making, but it's underneath a system, right? And so not only do I have like my videos that I physically make every week, but we also have like AI videos that are being reproduced. Both of them are systems because I'm created a education program that every YouTube video that I post is all funneling into this education program. Now, the education program was also thought of as a system opposed to selling individuals. So let me give, once again, an example before we kind of go into the next topic is I can sell a coaching program, right? A coaching program is a task because it involves me communicating and coaching the person that I'm working with. Okay. So instead of selling a task, I sell an education program. So not a coaching, but an actual education program where if I create this one time, anybody that I bring into it increases my income, but it doesn't increase the amount of time that I need to allocate to it because that system is constantly turning. Now, another thing that you can also use and capitalize on is AI tools. AI tools are systems. Instead of you going and creating individual scripts, you use AI to create the scripts for you. That's a system, right? So you start thinking in terms of systems instead of tasks. And over a prolonged period of time, because everything we're going to talk about in this video is not something that you just overnight, you're just now an entrepreneur and you now have diluted your mind into thinking in a correct way that's just going to immediately make you more money. Because like I said, I've been doing this for like 5 years now. And I've been in entrepreneurship for like 9 years now. And what I have to say is like just as of recently, I realized that I don't need to force myself to think in systems anymore, right? Like I just do it. As soon as I come up with a new idea, I immediately think of a system that's going to organize it for me. Like for an example, we're coming up with this content creation system for YouTube. And I know me a couple years ago would have just been manually doing each one. But it's to the point now where my communication this morning with the team were actually specifically around, I'm going to create a system that's going to automatically, pinpoint what videos we should be making, when, and create an actual system around it. Now, the next one that's very prominent, shifting your mind from an employee mindset to a manager or a leadership mindset. How I interpret this and how I understand this is not always trying to make something difficult that doesn't need to be difficult, if that makes sense. So a lot of the people that I work with on a day-to-day basis, small things, very small things, but I'm telling you right now that this holds a lot of weight on just like, the speed at which you obtain whatever it is you're searching for, but as well as like the quality of it and then how fast you get to where you want to go. It's just being very competent in everything that you use and do. A lot of the people that I talk to every single day are slow with just day-to-day tasks that are important for you to be like quick and efficient at. And this is like the difference between a leader and an employee and a manager. And if you guys saw my last video, we talked about how the leadership, climbed to the top of the tree, and then, the managers were just kind of like, or the employees were like scouring through the woods. They try to find the most difficult way to do something that's incredibly easy. Alongside that, they don't look for ways to make a certain task even easier. Now, I don't care, for me specifically, I don't care if I am, copying YouTube links or formatting a spreadsheet or accumulating some kind of data. As I'm doing it, I'm actively trying to figure out the faster and easier way to do this. My ability to use a MacBook surpasses everybody within a 100-mile radius from here. And the thing with that is a leadership role understands that it's not just about making things easier for him, it's about making tasks easier for everybody that's involved. But it starts with you, right? If you don't know how to make a hard task an easy task, then frankly, you might not know enough about that, task to begin with. And with that being said, it's like it starts with you, but then you now need to know how to teach people how to do this. And now teaching people in general is just a difficult thing to do. And especially if you're starting to hire or you have a partner or whatever it may be, it starts to just get a little bit more difficult when you're trying to eject the thoughts out of your brain and inject them into, another person's brain. But what comes with like a level of full understanding of a topic is one, thousands and thousands of hours of, time within that topic. But then two, looking for easier and more efficient ways to do that task. And then teaching people the easier and more efficient ways to do the task. Because the harder the task, the more errors are going to be. But you remove the margin of error by simply just removing the difficultness that is associated with that task. And so in general, you need to shift from an employee mindset where you're literally only doing what you're told, and instead you're now making the decisions, but alongside actually making the decisions. And this is like small things that you can do in your life. You being a leader over your own mind. This is a completely different topic. I'll go into it on another video, but that little voice inside of your head, most people are enemies with that voice in their head. They wake up and that little voice tells them to go back to sleep, and so they go back to sleep, even though that's like the wrong thing to do. They're getting ready to drink water or caffeine first thing in the morning, and they choose the caffeine instead of the water because the little voice inside their head, like the voice inside of your head, like typically amongst most people, is like actually the enemy of themselves. And so it starts with little things that you can do. Just becoming a leader within your own life, taking control of your life now. What are some things that you can do? And it's typically going against like what the little voice inside of your head wants. Typically it's, you start waking, you tell yourself, I'm going to start waking up at this time. And then you actually wake up at this time. And then you tell yourself, then you figure out how you can sit in your car faster, right? Open the door, how you slide in just a little bit faster, or how you drive at just a perfect speed so you never hit any red lights or any red lights. Like small little things where you can just be an absolute perfectionist at. And this right there is a sign of becoming a leader. The next thing that I would highly recommend is understanding that if you want to reprogram your mind to make more money specifically, you need to fully believe that there's more money out there for you to make yourself. You need to fully have faith in that. And I propose this question to some people, and it's like, if I lit you on fire and there was a swimming pool, what would you do? Well, you would jump in the water because you had full faith that fire would stop, right? And you'd be fine. Then you ask that same question, but they're in the desert in the middle of nowhere. And it's like, well, I literally can't do anything. Right? So they don't do anything. Like they know that they're just going to burn to death. And when you look at that, you understand that faith, absolute unwavering faith, is the deciding factor on your decisions. There might have been some water right over that hill on the desert, but you didn't know that because you didn't even attempt to look. You didn't believe that there was. But when you know for a fact that your actions are either the difference between life or death, you make very specific decisions based off of that. And one of the things that I did when I was younger was I spent a lot of time on Twitter. Not Instagram, not TikTok, Twitter specifically. I've never really been an Instagram guy because it's just like, it gives me a really bad headache. I'm a really big nerd. I don't listen to music. I try not to watch too much TV. I watch like an episode or two of like Breaking Bad every night, but I'm very protective of like my mind. And one of the things that I have to say very much benefited me while, readopting a make more money mind was spending a lot of time on Twitter and following people that I knew were credible and had authority within a certain market that actually made a lot of money. And one thing that I did, I actually made sure that the people that I followed were roughly in the same age group that I was. Because I need to absolutely, or at the time, I needed to absolutely believe that there was money out there to be made and that somebody of my age was able to do it before. Because, and I think this happened a while ago where like nobody had ran a 4-minute mile. It was a 4 or 5 minute mile. And then finally somebody ran the 4 or 5 minute mile. And then from that point forward, everybody was running the 4 or 5 minute mile. And there was like many years like in between of people not being able to hit the 4 or 5 minute mile. And then out of nowhere, everybody was. That was like even attempting. And it was because they believed that it was achievable. They believed that it was possible. And the more that you have faith in something, the more likely you are to make decisions on that faith. And those decisions right there are actually the decisions that are going to lead you from point A to point B. So following people on Twitter, seriously, I know it sounds like counterproductive. It's like you need to do a mental detox, a dopamine detox, and you need to do this. I'm serious. I mean, if you don't believe that there are people out there making millions of dollars at such a young age, surround yourself with them. Every time you open your phone, check Twitter, see all of those kids making millions of dollars so you know that it's real, and then you get back to work. And it just helps completely reprogram your mind to just simply make more money. Now, the last topic I want to talk about is simply embracing the failures that you have. And it's reprogramming I don't think it's intrinsic, but reprogramming a long adopted nature to hate the idea of failing. And especially like when you're in school, you literally get an F on your paper, you fail, right? You are taught that an F is bad because if you get enough Fs, then you have to, repeat or you get kicked out of school. Like failing is bad. So you have associated an F or failing as bad. Now, as an entrepreneur or somebody who wants to make more money, you need to reprogram your mind. And one of the things that you need to reprogram is that failing is not bad. Failing is inspiring. Failing is, to me, one of the most exciting pieces of my day because, and I'm a unique person when it comes to business. I don't try to be perfect at all. I literally just set up systems. I work, and if it fails, I'm excited for it to fail because then it means I can go and fix it, but it means it's actively moving forward. If I sat back and I just kind of waited for everything to be perfect timing, perfect systems, perfect people, perfect everything, I don't think anything would ever get done because I do have a little bit of tism, and I don't mean that in a bad way. I have a little bit of tism, and I will sit and tunnel vision on some of the most unimportant stuff of my life, and I will tunnel vision on it for 15, 20 hours a day. And the problem with that is nothing is actually getting done. So instead, I rewired my brain to say, listen, start the thing. If the thing fails, just fix whatever fails. And I've done that with every marketing acquisition I've ever had in any of my companies. I've done that with any of my businesses. I've done that with trainings. Every single thing in my entire life revolving around business and making more money stemmed with, I don't know if this is the right way to do it. We're just going to launch it. Whatever breaks, we fix it. And honestly, it served me very well. It has served me so incredibly well, and it's to the point now where I've had so many fails that when starting new operations, I kind of already know the things to just immediately avoid because I know just what works. And then the more times I fail, the more I'm chipping out. So look at it like this. I can have all of these ways to fail something, but if I fail so much that the answer is right here. Like this is the answer. And if all of these ways I'm just failing, chipping at all the failures, finally I get to the point where I am starting to have all the answers. Now you start chipping away and you start to just understand, you start to rewire the way you think about the entire world because of all of the failures you had. Anything that you do now moving forward is actually with the experience of all the failures you have. Now, I'm not saying go out and fail and then just do the same thing over and over because you're not going to get anywhere. But what I am saying is when you do fail, embrace the failure, understand why you failed, and then sketch out exactly what you're going to do next time to avoid that failure. And keep a nice long collection of all the things that you've done that you've failed on, and then just don't do them forward. Pretty much coming to the end of the video, I want to say that this stuff takes time. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that this is a 6-month thing or a 90-day thing. This stuff has taken me 3 to 5 years to fully grasp. And I'm finally now, and I just, no joke. I mean, just in the last couple of days, I sat down and I was like, man, I'm not even doing this out of motivation anymore. I'm not doing this out of inspiration. I'm doing this because I've just reprogrammed my mind to just think this way. This is just the things that I do. And like, obviously I started like getting into YouTube, and I didn't really need to get into YouTube, but it was like the next step of my life. But I didn't think of it in that paradigm. I wasn't like, okay, I need to take my life to the next step, so here are the things that I'm going to do. No, just being surrounded with business for as long as I have now automatically made that shift into the next stage of my life, because I didn't need to think about it anymore. Because, like, for an example, you guys are in a position typically, or maybe majority of you guys are in a position where you're in a current state of your life, and now you need to actively think to get out of that state of your life. I'm in a position where I've been doing this so long, and that's what I'm telling you right now, is it takes a while to where I don't think about needing to take the next step in my life. It automatically happens. So I promise you, if you stick to it, you become a leader in your own life. You think in terms of systems and not tasks, and you do some of the things that we talked about in this video, at least one of them. Over a long enough period of time, you're going to start reprogramming your mind to fully understanding just exactly how to make more money.